If you describe yourself as middle class, there's a good chance you are already wrong, not because you are doing badly, but because the category you are describing no longer exists the way it used to. The middle class is not shrinking. It is being eliminated, methodically, from both sides simultaneously. Costs rising from below, wealth concentrating above, and the space in between, the space your parents called security, getting narrower every year. This is not pessimism. This is arithmetic. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly 3 things. What the middle class actually was, what is destroying it, and the 3 exits that still remain before they close too. The middle class is not shrinking. IT is being eliminated. There is a difference. This is the wealth slate. Let's run the numbers. The middle class, in its original economic definition, was not about income. It was about a specific set of life outcomes that a working adult could reliably achieve. A middle-class life meant owning a home on one income, having stable employment with benefits, sending children to college without generational debt, retiring at 65 with a defined income, taking a holiday once a year, having a buffer against emergencies. At its peak in the 1960s and 1970s, approximately 60 to 65% of households in most developed Western countries met this definition. The middle was not a small, fragile slice. It was the dominant economic category. In 1970, 65% of households were middle class, and in 2026, that number has collapsed. Today, organizations estimate that the middle class has shrunk to between 40 and 50% of households by income measures, and significantly fewer by the actual life outcomes it used to guarantee. The 3 forces erasing it. Force 1. Asset inflation without wage inflation. The things that define middle-class life, homes, education, healthcare, have inflated at 3 to 5 times the rate of wages over 4 decades. You are earning more dollars than your parents did. But those dollars buy less of the things that define a middle-class life. The gap is not a coincidence. Asset prices inflate when money is cheap and supply is restricted. Wages inflate when labor is scarce and workers have power. Both conditions have worked against middle-class formation simultaneously. Wages up 2 times since 1980, house prices up 8 times, education up 12 times, healthcare up 10 times. Force number 2. The removal of economic security infrastructure. The middle class was held in place by institutional structures, pensions, employer-provided healthcare, strong unions, and stable long-term employment. Each of these has been systematically dismantled or weakened since the 1980s. The security that income used to purchase no longer exists at any income level below the genuinely wealthy. And the third forker is financialization of everyday life. Every transaction that used to be a cost is now a debt product. Cars, education, phones, all come with financing that extracts interest. The middle class used to accumulate assets. It now accumulates obligations. A household with a $90,000 income and $200,000 in debt across student loans and a stretched mortgage is not middle class. It is a middle-income household living a working-class financial reality with a higher cost structure. Let us make this concrete. Here is what a household income of $80,000 to $100,000 actually buys in 2026 in a major city. It does not buy a home. The average home price requires an income of $120,000 to $180,000 to qualify for a mortgage without extreme financial stress. It funds a state university education for one child with significant debt. It provides healthcare through an employer plan with meaningful out-of-pocket costs. It funds retirement adequately only with early, consistent contributions, none of which is guaranteed or guided by default. A $90,000 household income in 2026 buys what $45,000 bought in 1990. The label stayed. The standard of living left. This is the core deception. The income brackets that define it have moved with inflation. The life outcomes have not. You can be statistically middle class and financially squeezed in ways your parents never experienced. Before we get to the exits, we need to ask the question that most financial content refuses to ask. Who benefits from the disappearance of the middle class? Asset owners. Every dollar that does not go into middle class homeownership goes into rental income for institutional landlords. Every dollar of pension that is not guaranteed goes into investment management fees. Every dollar of college tuition that cannot be paid up front becomes interest income for lenders. The structural forces erasing the middle class are not anonymous. They are the predictable outcomes of policy decisions made by people who already own assets, already have guaranteed retirements, and already paid for their education in a different era. The middle class disappears upward for some and downward for most. The direction is not random. Now here is where the Wealth Slate is different from every doom video you have watched. We do not end with the problem. We end with the exits. There are 3, they are not easy. But they are real. Exit 1. Become an asset owner before the window closes. The middle class was defined by owning assets, primarily property. That window is narrowing, but not closed. The exit is to acquire income-producing assets as aggressively as your situation allows: index funds, REITs, a property, or a small business. Not because this is easy, but because the alternative, remaining entirely in labor income, is a guaranteed slow squeeze. The people who own assets are on the other side of the problem. Asset ownership is the exit ramp. Exit 2. Develop skills so rare that you escape labor market commoditization. The middle class was also built on stable employment. That stability no longer exists for most work that can be routinized, automated, or outsourced. The exit is to develop skills that are genuinely difficult to replace: complex problem-solving, specialized technical knowledge, or creative work. Not a degree. A skill that a machine cannot do cheaply and a corporation cannot easily offshore. This is the modern equivalent. Exit 3. Build a secondary income stream that is not time-dependent. The middle class ran on 1 income or 2 wages for 1 household. That model has been structurally weakened. The exit is to create income that does not depend solely on your labor, rental income, digital products, content, or intellectual property. It means ensuring that your income has at least 2 sources, one of which continues when you stop actively working. The middle class that survives will be the one that understood income diversification before it became necessary. 3 exits. Own assets. Build rare skills. Create time-independent income. So here is the Wealth Slate verdict on the middle class. It is not your fault that the middle class is disappearing. It was not designed to last. It was the product of a specific set of economic conditions that existed for roughly 40 years and are now gone. Feeling squeezed is not a personal failure. It is the correct response to a system that is genuinely squeezing you. But understanding the problem is only useful if it changes your decisions. The 3 exits exist. They require earlier, more deliberate action than your parents had to take. They require investing money you would rather spend, building skills you were not taught in school, and creating income you were not told was possible. The middle class as a destination is gone, but the security it represented is still achievable, just through completely different means. This is the Wealth Slate. Financial truth, told in black and white. New video every week. See you then. Before you go, if you want to understand why your parents' financial advice, the advice that built the middle class, is now working against you, watch this video next. It will show you exactly when the rules changed and what the new ones are.